Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'll just share my screen. Okay, thank you for that introduction. So I'll just wait for that to get loaded. So my name is Khudaija and I'm from Inspirited Minds. And I'll just be speaking a little bit today about how to keep our households motivated and healthy mentally as well. I think we can all agree this is a topic we are all struggling with at the moment due to the recent adjustments and all the change going on. So hopefully we'll go through a few things that can help us with that. So for anyone who hasn't heard of Inspirited Minds, we are a Muslim mental health charity and we provide confidential professional support to anyone with a mental health difficulty. And the aims initially when we started was just to raise awareness of mental health, to combat any stigma and to put mental health first more than anything else. And we do provide a lot of services. So there was a question earlier around signposting. So definitely see our website for further details, which I'll give out at the end. But we do provide emotional support and counselling. We have some anonymous question and answers available where you can ask Inspirited Minds something that you're concerned about. We also hold workshops for schools, unis and mosques, as well as various events, campaigns, and there's a lot of information, tools and resources available on our website as well. So for further details, do have a look. So in terms of what we're doing around the coronavirus at the moment, we have seen an increase in the number of people contacting us for support, which of course, as you can imagine, is quite normal for a time like this. A lot of people are reaching out for counselling. So we are increasing our support services and getting more counsellors to join the team. We've also created various articles and resources on these topics that are listed on the slides around anxiety, OCD, etc. And we're also doing webinars and Instagram lives as well. So the details can all be found on the website at the bottom of the slide. So far, we've done some Instagram lives around low mood, around OCD, and we do have one coming up around eating disorders as well. So definitely have a look. And we also have a resource that reflects on how we look after ourselves at times of stress and struggle and setbacks. It's already got lots of amazing positive messages of hope and ideas, but we'd also advise other people take some time down, write down how you look after yourself and send in your message as well. So details about that is also on the slide that you can hopefully see there. So when we look at how to actually manage our mental well-being and keep motivated, the one thing that I can emphasize more than anything else is creating a plan for ourselves on our day-to-day lives. Now, usually with work and in a normal situation, we have that structure, we have that routine for both ourselves, our kids, our family. But when there is something like this, a lot of us don't really know how we should react to it, and we can be at risk of not having a plan made for ourselves. So it's really important that we start doing this to really improve our motivation as well. A very common symptom of low mood when we are going through certain changes like this is that we have a tendency to stop doing things. And when we don't do things, we tend to feel very flat and very low in mood. So it's really about trying to let what we're doing affect how we're feeling. So what I would suggest in terms of this plan, and hopefully you can all try this out for yourselves, is start off by having a list of things you would normally do on a day-to-day basis, but dividing it into these three topics that I've listed here. So pleasurable things, routine things, and necessary things. At a time of crisis like this, perhaps we all have a tendency to do the things we know we need to do around the home, but then we don't spend much time for ourselves or having that me time, as we're just sort of focused on the issue at hand, or we're focusing on the people around us. So the first thing to suggest is really make a list of these three things that you would normally be doing on a day-to-day basis, and add to that list as well. And I'll put up some suggestions on the next slide as well, because we need to know what our options are. At a time like this, what are we doing with our day? For those of us working from home, with the kids home from school, we need to know what is going to happen in that day. Otherwise, we can be at risk of feeling quite negative, getting stuck in that negative thought cycle where we think, well, I don't know what to do. There isn't anything to do. Therefore, I'd rather sit and not do very much. Now, usually this list will comprise of things we do on a normal day-to-day basis, some of which we may not be able to do at the moment, as they might be outside the home, like the gym or anything like that. But what we want to do with these activities is alter them so they're applicable within the home. So if we usually enjoy going to the gym, well, we think, how can I do a workout at home? Do I need to go on a YouTube video or follow a certain page on social media and do it that way instead? If some of us like taking the kids out to the park and actually we don't want to risk doing that at the moment under the guidelines, then we think, well, my kids enjoy it because they're being active. Therefore, how can I adjust this activity so they're still active at home and we're still spending time together? So we have the same values of the activity, but we're making those adjustments. But of course, having a list isn't enough. What we also want to do is, how am I going to get motivated to actually do this? You might have a busy household, you might be more isolated than others, and it can be difficult in either situation to find that motivation. So at a time like this, we want to think about the details of the activity we're doing. So almost make a diary almost, and think about what day, what time, and how long am I going to do this activity for? If we think first thing in the morning, well, actually at some point I'm going to do some exercise at home. It's not a very specific goal. We don't really know when we're doing it or where the time is. So when it comes down to it, we might keep thinking, you know what, I'll do it later. I'm a bit tired. Maybe I'll do it later on. By having that time set and that day and how long it will be, that can actually increase our motivation as we have that schedule, we have that plan. So what we can do is think, well, actually later on at 3 p.m, after I've sorted the kids out and made lunch, I'm going to spend 15 minutes doing a YouTube workout at home. So we've changed the state of that goal. So we know exactly all these details, and that can help with the motivation. And if we still find ourselves unable to do it, review it. That's what this last part is about. That we want to think, well, what could I have done differently? Did I plan it for too long? Was it the wrong activity to maybe start with, considering I'm a new gym goer and actually 15 minutes was a bit too much? Did the kids get in the way of it? If so, what am I going to do next time to avoid this? Just so we can ensure that our routine can carry on as per our plan. So these are just some ideas. I know it's a little bit blurry. Feel free to take a photo of this slide if you'd like, but just a few ideas of what you can do. Bear in mind, some of these aren't so applicable in the current situation with the isolation guidelines, but exercise and activity is a really key one. We always want to manage this as best as we can, as it does have positive links with our well-being if we do have that exercise, indoors or outdoors. Connecting with others is also very important. Again, depending on how isolated you are, always ensure you keep those connections with other people, whether it's a friend, family member, going on a video chat with them, phone call, text message. Do things that are quite soothing, because at a time like this, I think we're all feeling a little bit anxious and we need that time to relax. Or also do some activities that require concentration, because that allows our focus to just change for that 10-15 minutes away from what's going on in the world, from whatever stress we've had during the day, and that can be really helpful for us. And also self-care. Always think about doing things like writing down something you like about yourself, something you're grateful for, and self-care can be something as small as just doing a hobby for 5 minutes. That's still looking after yourself. So definitely try and implement some of these, and as I've said, adjust as you can if these are activities you cannot do outdoors. And just finally, around goal setting, these are just some things to remember. Some of you may have heard of SMART goals before, but I just cannot emphasize enough how important it is for our goals to be SMART, because it does really enhance our motivation. So always be specific with our goals, know exactly what it is you want to do, make sure it's measurable, make sure you know how and when you've reached it, and is it achievable? Is it realistic and in our power to accomplish it? And realistic, of course, can we realistically achieve that specific goal? And be timely. When do we want to accomplish it? So always ensure, just like I've said in that diary we can create for ourselves, try and adhere to the SMART goals as well, because if our motivation is increased, we are kept busy, we are keeping our family and kids busy, and that in itself will actually improve our well-being quite a lot. And at a time like this, it's the little things that can make a difference. So even if we're improving our well-being by 10 or 20% and helping our family members out, that's still better than what it was. And at a time like this, that is really needed as well. Okay. And just so you know what our socials are, please make a note of these. So our website, inspiritedminds.org.uk, and that's our email address if you do have any questions as well. Okay, so thank you for listening, and I'll pass it back for any questions.
That's brilliant. Jazakallah khair, Khudaija, for that presentation. There is one question in the chat box from presumably a healthcare professional who's asking if there's any advice around their mental health, because they're obviously implementing strict isolation with vulnerable family members who are at home. They're doing their duty by going out to work to save people's lives, but they have a conflicting loyalty and feel as though there's a greater right over them by their family. Do you have any advice for those people?
So, of course, I know some of us are in that situation where we do have to still go to work and things. It's a difficult one because obviously we still have to follow our work guidelines, don't we, ultimately? So it's hard to really answer that. But I guess really it's about talking and having open communication with people at work to see what they feel might be helpful for us and if there are any adjustments, because ultimately we don't want to be putting people at a very real risk. But I guess just coming back down to the main issue at hand, which is around our mood, and obviously as the question says, making us feel like they have more of a right over us than other people and we maybe shouldn't work. It's finding that balance, I think. Just always speak to your workplace about what your concerns are. And again, at home, just make sure you're taking those precautions as per the previous speaker has mentioned as well. And then just find that balance between those two things.
Brilliant. One final question. Is there a resource for mosques or imams for if they get asked about providing mental health support? Is there anywhere that they can go to find resource as to how to give guidance?
Yeah, so what I would suggest is definitely check out the website that we have. There's a lot of information on there and all the links to our information and webinars around the coronavirus. So definitely have a look at that. And for any other questions, you can always use our Q&A if you'd like, or of course, just get in touch with us and we'll try and support as best as we can as well.